بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. So continuing the huruf al-jar discussion, we're moving on to the next huruf al-jar mentioned in the book, which is ila. So ila is for انتهاء الغاية. So وهي ila وهي لانتهاء الغاية كما مر. كما مر means, in the previous example we have ذهبت من البصرة إلى الكوفة. So the same example that applied there will apply here. I mean the ending of the distance traveled in time or space. وَبِمَعْنَا مَعَ قَلِيلًا. He says sometimes the word ila also comes in the meaning of ma'a, along with. And he gives an example, فَاغْسِلُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ وَأَيْدِيَكُمْ إِلَى الْمَرَافِقِ أي مَعَ الْمَرَافِقِ. He's saying here ila means ma'a, so along with. Now I'm not going to go through this, you'll do this in fiqh. But a simple rule or general thing is that ila has two possibilities. So ila in relation to its ghaya, this ending point, has two possibilities. Either it's included or it's not included. And then there's rules and different fuqaha have discussed this. And simply, you can have sometimes the ma ba'da ila, the majroor is included, for example here. So wash your hands and your face up to and including your elbows. So that means that the marafiq is included. And sometimes the word after is not included. وَتِمُّ الصِّيَامَ إِلَى اللَّيْلِ. So إِلَى اللَّيْلِ, the layl is not included in the siyam. So you have both ways. You can have it dakhil, for example, إِلَى الْمَرَافِقِ, with the word after ila is included in it. There's a fiqh discussion, I'm not going to go into it here. And kharij is not included. So for example, إِلَى اللَّيْلِ أَتِمُّ الصِّيَامَ إِلَى اللَّيْلِ. So there, the layl is not included in the itmamu siyam. But it is for, he's saying here, and from a Nahwi perspective, it means ma'a. And this ayah is more of a fiqh discussion regarding the ila. Okay? Right. The next word we have is hatta. Now hatta means also, hatta can come in different ways. And inshallah when we do qawaid al-i'rab we'll mention all three ways there. But two ways we've come across so far. One is hatta jarra, or one is hatta after which an is muqaddara. So after that you have an. So hatta can come on a noun, then it will be harfun jar. Or when it comes on a verb, then you say an is muqaddara before it. Okay, so for example, mithlu ila. So hatta can come in the meaning of ila. The same way ila means intiha il-ghaya. Hatta also means intiha ul-ghaya. There's a technical discussion regarding the difference between hatta and ila. I've done a video of that. I'll put a link inshallah later on. You can have a look at that one if you're interested. A bit more technical. So he says nimtul bariha. Bariha, last night. So last night I slept hatta sabah, until the morning. Hatta sabah. Last night I slept until the morning. So here hatta means ila, until the morning. Okay. And bima'na ma'a kathiran. Often it has the meaning of ma'a. Now, when it means ma'a, it doesn't mean here along with. It means here so much so. So much so. Or you can translate it as even. Okay? So for example, qadim al-hajj. This is a jins. So qadim al-hajj or possibly qadim al-hujjaj. The hajis or the pilgrims, they return, even the mushat, even those who are coming on foot, even they've made their way back. In the olden days, when they were traveling either on boat or animals, conveyance, caravans, or some were walking, so those who are walking will come last. So he said the hajis have all returned hatta al-mushat, even. So when you have hatta, it shows, so wow is for mutlaqul jam', to just bring ma'tuf alayhi and ma'tuf together. When you have hatta is there to show even. So qadim al-hajju hatta al-mushad, even those who are traveling by foot, they return. And here wala tadkhulu illa ala al-zahir. Hatta is different from ila. They can only come on an ism al-zahir. You cannot have hatta on a dhamir. Okay, fala yuqalu hattahu. You can't say hattahu, hattaka, khilafan lil mubarrad. Imam Mubarrad rahimahullah, probably a Kufi scholar, he says you are allowed to have it, and it's a poem he does istidlal from. Okay, So وَقَوْلُ الشَّاعِرِ, and the khabar of that is shaz. So this poem is shaz. We don't do istilal from this. And it's a bit of a tip that generally speaking, the Kufi madhab in Nahw is a bit opposite of the Hanafi, of the Kufi madhab in fiqh. In what it seems like, or what people have written, I've not studied and analyzed it myself, but what they've written is that the Kufi ulama of, it's a bit strange, Kufi ulama of Nahw, they don't mind taking one-off poetry, which is against the contrary to the Kufi scholars of fiqh who like a usul as opposed to simple one-off narrations. But anyways, in Kufa, if you find one-off narrations, they would take this poem or this saying as evidence. And the ulama of Basra, they were more inclined towards than general rules. They want to break their rule for this a one-off narration. Okay, so he's saying this one-off narration. Mubarrad takes this as evidence, and the other saying, no, this is a shadh call. It's not, you're not seeing it used enough to say it is permissible. Okay, he says, "Fala wallahi." What do you have in your books here?
Whatever you wish.
What text do you have here in your books? Yeah, la yabqa. Many of them have la yabqa. Anybody has anything different? Which copy do you have? Which print do you have? Yeah, the Maktab al-Bushra. Anybody have any other prints? So the Maktab al-Bushra, the Qadimi Khutub Kana, a few shuru I've seen, they all have the word yabqa. This seems incorrect. It doesn't make sense. If you look in Alfiya ibn Malik or you look in the Sharaf ibn Aqil, etc., they all have the word. Obviously, you can tell. It's called, when we say tashif. So tashif is very. If this is written, somebody probably wrote it like this. Somebody with me with bad handwriting, something wrote like this, and they understood it to mean yubqi, ya yabqa. It was supposed to be yulfi, to find. Alfayna alayhi aba'ana. So it's not yabqa or yubqi, or it's here yulfi. So alfa, yulfi, ilfa, and to find. So fala wallahi, and this is not a tasheef in the other books, because the other commentaries have then explained it using the word wajada. So this mistake is a mistake here. Hidayatun Nahw, most copies, the Qadimi Qutbana, the Bushra, they all have this mistake. It's supposed to be yulfi. So by Allah, la yulfi unasun fatan hatta kayabna abi ziyadin. So by Allah, people will not find any young man, and young man means here real man who can get the job done for them until they come to you. They go everywhere, but they will not find a real person who can get the job done. Until they come to you. Ya ibna abi ziyad. So it changes here. But you don't change it on the text. Make a note on the side that it's supposed to be la yulfi. Okay, fala wallahi la yulfi. People, this is the fa'il. People will not find any young man or any person until they come to you. Meaning nobody who can do the job for them until they come to you. Ya ibn abi ziyad. So he says here, in this poem, there's evidence that hatta is followed by ka. The hatta is followed by ka. So therefore, we can do istidlal from this. The hatta can be followed by a dhamir. But we say here, well, this is not correct. Not correct, this is a shaz. Yes, it is a poem, but we don't do istidlal from shudud. He's a Basri scholar, so he's taking this mawqif. Understood? Next one we have here is fi. The harfun jar, fi. Okay, so I should change this here. It's supposed to be fi. It's for dharfiyya. The primary meaning of fi is dharfiyya. Zaydun fi dar wal ma'u fil kuz. Zayd is in the house and the water is in the container. Okay, wa bi ma'na ala qalilan. Sometimes it comes in a meaning of ala. So fi has a meaning of ala. Wa la usallibannakum fi juzu'in nakhl. Wa la usallibannakum fi juzu'in nakhl. So here he's saying here the word fi is in the meaning of ala. Ay wa la usallibannakum ala juzu'in nakhl. Now again, there's another detailed discussion. I've mentioned another video, I'll put a link to that as well if I remember, inshallah. It's called tadhmeen. Okay, so some say here fi, it means fi, but it has a particular context of the word fi. But simply that's not how he's saying here. Fi means here ala. So I will, Fir'aun said to the people, I will crucify you onto the trunks of the tree. So fi here means ala. And the other meaning is not that fi really means fi, but he's used Allah has expressed his anger and his statement using the word fi, because he meant I'm going to crucify you and hang you onto those trees so tight and with such great force, it is as though you will be embedded into those trees. Okay? And here's a few others meanings of fi. which he has not mentioned in the book. One is sababiyya. Fi can also throw sababiyya. For example, in a hadith, the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, "Dakhalat imra'atun an-nara fi hirratin habasatha." The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, a lady entered or will enter the fire of Jahannam fi hirratin, because of, due to a cat which she kept and did not look after properly. So this fi is sababiyya, due to. So fi can also come in the meaning of sabab. Another meaning is musahaba, i.e. in the meaning of ma'a. If you can change the fi to ma'a, it will also be correct. Udkhuli fi ibadi, enter into my servants. Enter along with my servants. It's one tafsir. There's another tafsir as well, but one tafsir is ma'a, along with. Another meaning is muqayasa. Muqayasa, in comparison to. So basically, you have a mafdhul sabiq and a fadil lahiq. So what comes first? Sabiq means which comes first. So here, this comes first. What comes before fi? What comes after fi? This is mafdhul, the one that it is less virtuous. And this is the fadil, the one that is more virtuous. So you say here, mata'ud dunya fil akhirati illa, it's qalil. So ma mata'ud dunya. So the mata, the word, the pleasures of the dunya is little. How do you translate this fi? As in comparison to. In comparison to, muqabala, muqayasa, matched up to, in lined up to. So the joys and the pleasures of this world are very little compared to, in comparison to the hereafter. So you can have this meaning of muqayasa as well. Understood? Okay. And you have ta'leel. It's just now click to me. Ta'leel and sababiyya. I just copied from two different books, but very similar. So ta'leel and sababiyya are the same thing. So it's not really point having sababiyya and ta'leels. Obviously in fiqh is very different between sabab and illa, etc. But in nahw, just basics, cause. So فَذَلِكُنَّ الَّذِي لُمْتُنَّنِي فِي. That is the thing because of which you lamented me. So again, this is the same. Sababiyya and ta'liliyya are the same. Understood? So these are secondary meanings also of fi, not mentioned in the book. Everybody following? Any questions? The next harfun jar he discusses is al-ba. وهي للإلصاق. ألصق يلصق إلصاق is what? To stick something on. So you have lusuq and luzuq, both means what do you call tape in Arabic? Tape. Laziqa. So laziqa is a tape. So laziqa is tape. So lusuq, it just sticks on. Okay? For example, the primary meaning of ba is to stick on. So he says here, marartu bi Zaydin, I passed by Zayd, i.e. I iltasaqa mururi, my passing by was touched or was very close, stuck by a place which was close to where Zayd was from. He basically explained, marartu bi Zayd, I passed by Zayd, I close to Zayd. So all the meanings of ba, some way or the other have the meaning of to be close, to be attached, linked together. So the primary meaning is ilsaq, and all of the other meanings come along with this. One meaning is isti'ana. Ista'ana yasta'inu isti'anatan, to seek help. Ista'ana, nahu katabtu bil qalami. So I wrote with the pen. Katabtu bil qalami. So seeking help. By means of, using. So I wrote using the pen. وَقَدْ يَكُونُ لِلتَّعْلِيلِ. Sometimes it can also have the meaning of ta'lil. إِنَّكُمْ ظَلَمْتُمْ أَنفُسَكُمْ. Indeed, you have wronged yourselves. How have you wronged yourselves? بِاتِّخَاذِكُمُ الْعِجْلَ. By means of, or by virtue of you taking the calf as a god and a deity. So ba here, it shows the reason and the cause. So this ba is for ta'leel, reason. So indeed you have wronged yourself by taking the calf as a god. The maf'ul bihi thani of ittikhad is mahdhuf. Ay bittikhadikum al-ijla ay ilaha. Following? Any questions? Another meaning of ba is musahaba. Kharaja Zaydun bi ashiratihi, ay along with. So it's musahaba. So when Zayd left, he left with his family. So the family was with him. So what we call with in English. Okay? Muqabala, in exchange for. As like for example in dealing with prices. So bi'tu hadha bidhaka. I sold this in exchange for that. So ba'a bi muqabala, exchange. Okay? Yes? يشترون يشترون بآيات الله ثمنا قليلا. So in exchange for the verses of Allah, they have a very small paltry price. Okay. Ta'diyah, if you have a fa'il lazim, you bring the ba on it, it becomes fa'il muta'addi. Okay. Yes. What is zarfiyah? To show back and show the meaning of time or place. Zarfiyah, time or place. So jalastu bil masjid is an example of place. And you can have makan. For example, لَقَدْ نَصَرَكُمُ اللَّهُ بِبَدْرٍ أي at Badr. Okay. And zaman, time. يُسَبِّحُونَ لَهُ بِاللَّيْلِ وَالنَّهَارِ. So the ba can come for zarfiyah, and the zarfiyah can be makan or zaman. You got it? Following so far? Yep. Understood?
He doesn't have the capacity to hand over the mabi. So do you see there's two different reasons? One is before you catch the fish.
In the difference between the isti'ana and ta'leel is isti'ana usually comes on a tool.
So once you put,
For example, كتبت بالقلم, قطعت بالسيف, I cut with a knife, كتبت بالسكين, ذهبت بالسيارة, I went by tool, by the means of the car. And ta'leel is the reason. That's more usually an abstract concept, a verb or a, so for example, an abstract concept, a reason. Is that clear?
I just catch the fish and I hand it over to you. What fresh?
Say isti'ana. Some have said isti'ana, some say musahaba. So I start in the name, seeking, I commence my action, whatever it is, Bismillah, seeking or using the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the barakah of the name of Allah to commence my action. So most people say it's isti'ana. Some say musahaba. It's a spiritual tool, the name of Allah and the barakah of Allah. The barakah of the name of Allah is a spiritual tool. So they will say it's isti'ana.
Remember what they said, that if you sell someone that whole heap before he goes, you get rid of that.
I don't understand the question. I don't think there's overlap. I don't think so. Because isti'ana is like the thing you. I mean, it could be. You could have an overlap between isti'ana and musahaba, but ta'leel is quite distinct in my opinion. Ta'leel is like the cause of something, what the reason you do something or the result. So, for example, فَأَهْلَكْنَاهُمْ بِذُنُوبِهِمْ. So the dhunub was not the tool or the thing you use to destroy them. It was the reason, or the cause of the destruction. Yes. غَضَبْتُ عَلَيْهِ بِفَعْلِهِ. I became angry at him because of what he did. This is the sabab, ta'leel, the reason. And the isti'ana can also be musahaba. For example, I went with the car along with the car by means of the car. I wrote with the pen along with the pen. So isti'ana and musahaba, there could be overlap in there. But ta'leel is quite distinct. I don't see. So it shows the reason. It's an abstract thing. Usually something abstract, a reason for the action. Okay? Yes? Any other questions? Okay. The last place of now ba is za'ida. Again, ba za'ida means what? Without it, there's no ikhtilal in the meaning. There's no ikhtilal in the meaning. And if you take it out, it will be nuqs. You will have a shortcoming in the meaning, a defect in the meaning, but it wouldn't go haywire. You still understand what is being said. And now where is this ba za'ida brought? So there's some place with a qiyasi. You can see it everywhere. One is in the khabar of a nafi. If you have a negative sentence, laysa or ma zaydun biqa'imin. Anna Allah laysa bidhallamin lil abid. So now ba comes on the khabar of laysa. It also comes on the khabar of ma. Wa ma rabbuka bidhallamin lil abid. So whether you have ma or laysa, the khabar of this can have ba. This has no muta'alliq, and this gives emphasis, not translated. Yes? Sometimes in the khabar, when you have istifham with hal. So hal zaydun biqa'imin. So zaydun mubtada, qa'imin is a khabar, mahallan marfu, lafzan majroor, because ma is za'ida. It just creates an emphasis and a more, like, it creates an emphasis and a ta'qeed within the istifham. But it is not translated as with. You got it? Following? Then we have sama'. Sama' means places where we can't do qiyas upon. It just happens there. So one place is marfu', meaning in place of the mubtada or in place of the fa'il. So bihasbika zaid, ay hasbuka zaidun. So bihasbika comes here. So it's basically hasbuka zaid, zaid is sufficient for you. This ba is not translated, it just creates emphasis. So on the mubtada of the word hasbun, you have the word hasbu, bihasbika, it comes often. So that ba is not translated. Understood? And kafa billahi shahida, ay kafa Allah, ay Allah is sufficient. So kafa billahi shahida, shahida is a tamyiz, and billah, the ba is brought on the fa'il to create emphasis. Allah is sufficient. Okay? And the last one he say here is sometimes in the maf'ul bihi you get alqa biyadi. La tulqu bi aydikum ila tahluka. He says this ba is za'ida on the maf'ulun bihi. So sometimes you have it za'ida, it creates emphasis. And there's one place not mentioned here, and it's mentioned, I found it in one or two books, but it's very rare. You will see here is sometimes to do ta'keed ma'nawi. When you have ta'keed ma'nawi, you can have the word ba here. So instead of saying nadhafa al-amiru nafsuhu al-masjida, you could have nadhafa al-amiru al-masjida bi nafsihi. So in the i'rab of this, amir becomes the mu'akkad, and ba is harafun jar za'id, and nafsihi is lafzan majroor mahallan marfu' is a ta'keed of amir. And this is actually probably even more common than the normal ta'keed without the ba. For example, the hadith comes, Dabah Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam kabshan bi nafsihi. So the word bi nafsihi ya bi anfusihim is really a ta'keed ma'nawi, but the ba is brought, ba za'ida is brought. Okay, so this is not mentioned in many books, but this is also useful. It's also by harfun jar za'id. Understood? Yes? And also another one is mentioned, but they don't mention it significant. They don't mention it directly, but it is when you have a fa'il ta'ajjum, af'il bihi. So bihi becomes a fa'il, but you bring a ba harfun jar za'id on it. So he is a fa'il, af'il bihim, af'il bika, the ka, the he, that becomes a fa'il, and the ba is harfun jar za'id which precedes it. So these are commonly mentioned, but also remember that ba harfun jar za'id on the ta'keed ma'nawi, and af'alu ta'ajjub, the ba which comes in a fa'il there, is also za'id. Any other questions regarding this?
Hassan.
I don't know why the list is quite short. There are many meanings of min. Ilah has the least meaning. Min, fi and ba. This is quite exhaustive. Maybe the authors overlooked them. But min, ba and fi, they have a lot of meanings. Those are the three very rich in meaning. So even here, I never mentioned a few. If you want a good list, you can take in Jami Dusu Arabiya. That has a good list of them. That has a good list of the ma'ani of the huruf and jar in there. Also, Fadil Samarai's book also has a good list, explanation of the ma'ani of them there as well. But yeah, it's overlooked on the author's behalf and also overlooked on my behalf. I never brought them in. But fi does have a lot of meanings. Those three are probably the most richest. Ilah is quite simple, hatta is quite simple. But those three are very rich in meaning. And it's good to know those meanings. Okay? Okay. Subhanallah wa bihamdi, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika wa nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta wa nastaghfiruka wa natubu